Howdy folks, this is Father Dougal 9000 here, and welcome to another episode of Dougal's Game Finish Chronicles, a series where I talk about the games, what I have played and also beaten, as part of the Hardcore Gaming 101 Forums Game Finish Challenge. Today's one is gonna be another solo episode, where I talk about just the one video game for a few minutes. It's admittedly fairly short, just over 5 minutes, but with the general briefness of the videos recently, I figured it'd be an alright idea to give this one some space to breathe on its own. This game was originally logged on the 17th of March 2021, which is St. Patrick's Day. I only observe that, not because I'm Irish and I'm mandated by EU regulations to discuss any and all Irish-themed holidays, but because this is the least St. Patrick's Day video game anyone could possibly cover. Play novel Silent Hill for the Game Boy Advance, but in this case actually the PC. So this is a bit of a weird one. Back in 2001, Konami released a Japanese visual novel adaptation of the original Silent Hill on the Game Boy Advance, retelling the story of Harry Mason trying to find his daughter Cheryl with a few changes. Well, few to put it lightly. These mainly condensed more puzzle-driven sections while expanding on the psychological aspects during the wandering, story, and combat scenes to really get into Harry's head, as the game is told from a first-person perspective. There's also a second story where you can play as the police officer Sybil Bennett, who experiences her own unique series of events. Both stories also offer a variety of endings, some of which weren't in the original game. I've always wanted to get into Silent Hill and horror in general, but I also always feared that because I'm controlling the character and I'm not very good at dealing with mechanical stress, I would become so overwhelmed by dealing with certain situations that I would freak out and stop playing the game. After watching a couple of videos that discuss this particular adaptation by Thor High Heels, I decided that this could be a better way to experience the first game's events. There's still plenty of unsettling moments and a haunting vibe, but all I'd have to do mechanically is make a choice every now and again to influence the story's direction. Despite the idea of a visual novel based on a survival horror video game sounding a little bit weird, it's incredibly well done. The Game Boy Advance's low bitrate sound complements the sparse music and sound design superbly, and the compressed backgrounds make the unclear environments even harder to read. The text is written very straightforwardly, which makes it easy to understand while creating an uncanny vibe for some of the conversations and Harry's internal monologues regarding his situation. Due to the multiple choice nature of events, it can sometimes feel like there's gaps missing when you end up in a different location, but it fits the deliberately disjointed, disoriented feeling the game is generally hitting at. I suppose the only issue I have with Play Novel is more an artifact of how I played it. I originally played the GBA version with the fan translation by Toby Normoyle, but a saving issue left me unable to progress without constantly replaying the game up to that point, so I ended up playing the fan-made PC port by Giromancy instead, which carries over nearly all of the GBA version's elements exactly. The only element that wasn't carried over was a chapter select, which you could use by pressing the select button. That would let you return to previous sections where a choice could be made in case you ended up making a series of decisions that led to one of the game's earlier endings. As far as I know, that option doesn't exist in the PC port, so the only way you can return to previous sections is to just start a new game, activate the absurdly fast skip dialogue function, and wait until a choice crops up. If you've played the original Silent Hill a couple times, you'll likely recognize in Harry's story what choices to make in order to reach the very end of his adventure, and major cutoff points are made really obvious with a pair of pick A if you did X, or pick B if you did Y choices about 2/3 of the way through. But that won't apply for Sybil's scenario, so you'll still have this problem. Although I had watched an overview video of the original game that spoiled the entire thing a while ago, I'd forgotten what choices or moments were needed to reach the very end of Harry's story. As such, I ended up with the alternate endings for both Harry and Sybil, which occur a fair bit earlier than the endings that carry you the whole way through. Because I couldn't return to previous chapters so quickly, I felt rather reluctant about replaying or even skipping through their stories just to make different decisions. If I were playing the GBA version and the save functionality had been working, I likely would have gone ahead and tried to actually get to the quote-unquote proper end of the game, but the endings I did get felt fitting in their own right. But despite that issue, I do recommend playing the PC port, since that aforementioned fan translation was made for this version and is paced much better with the story being delivered through individual sentences rather than great big walls of text in the GBA original. And with that, we've wrapped up our second solo episode in this series. Hell yeah. But before I go, I want to give a major shout out to the composer of the music used for this video specifically. It was done by Freedy Sánchez, or drackfreeee, who has composed dozens and dozens of music tracks inspired by the music of Silent Hill. Yeah, the stuff you heard, that wasn't anything from the original games, but by Sánchez. You can check out their music through their YouTube channel, and even purchase it on Bandcamp if you liked it. I did. There's plenty of stuff to check out and enjoy if you're well into the Silent Hill style of music. Otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed watching, and that you'll tune in for the next video. Thank you so much, and until we meet again, have a wonderful day.